wá. Lọ́jọ́kọjọ́ nígbàkúgbà bàbá ni bàbá ń jẹ́. Lọ́jọ́kọjọ́ nígbàkúgbà bàbá ni bàbá ń ṣe. We lead while others follow. We lead while others follow. Vicinity FM ọ̀gálàjẹ́ Adéọlá Noite ní ẹ̀ máa gbọ́. Mo fọwọ́ sọ̀yà. We lead while others follow. Vicinity FM àwa ní bàbá. We lead while others follow. Àwa lọ̀gá àwa làgbà wọn lọ́jọ́kọjọ́. 95.3 Vicinity FM. Tọmọdé tàgbà darúgbó tómi dán ló sọ pa wá ní. We lead while others follow. We lead while others follow. Vicinity FM àwa ní bàbá. Vicinity 95.3 FM Ìkejì ilé ọ̀tọ̀ nìkan láàrin òkúta ayàtọ̀ sí wọn jọ̀ọ́jọ̀ọ́. Vicinity FM 95.3. We lead while others follow.
For added value, Vicinity 95.3 FM is calling on individuals, public and private establishments to advertise their goods and services on Vicinity 95.3 FM, Ikejile, Ijesha, Osun State. With our wider reach in Osun, Ondo, Ekiti, Oyo, Kwara, and Kogi State, we are set to take your products and services to greater heights. For more information on advert placement and program sponsorship, please call Adeshola on 0810 86.
Welcome to the heartbeat of the city. We have the reading of the streets. Vicinity FM 95.3. Music. News from around the world. Vicinity FM 95.3.
This is Vicinity 95.3 FM, Ikejile, Ijesha. The time is 12 o'clock. I am Paul Leteng with Global News. First, the headlines. Ministry of Solid Minerals generates 7 billion naira in mining license. South Sudan humanitarian crisis puts 60,000 malnourished children at risk. And India and Pakistan to hold high-level military talks on ceasefire deals. Now the news in full. Ministry of Solid Mineral Development has set clear indications of economic development in the sector as it generated nearly 7 billion naira in mining license fees in the first quarter of the year. The Minister, Dr. Dele Alake, presented the figures while speaking at the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, Forum in Paris, France, explained the global energy transition needs bold, responsible action, and Africa must lead the process. As Nigeria generated nearly 7 billion naira in mining license fees, formalized over 1,200 artisanal cooperatives, and approved hundreds of licenses, while pushing for sustainability, value addition, and investor confidence, with the continent's growing share in the global supply of critical minerals. The minister called for a paradigm shift for Africa from being mere exporters of raw materials to becoming leaders in value-added processing and high-value mineral supply chains. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, has set up a committee headed by a former Senate President, Bukola Saraki, to reconcile aggrieved members ahead of its National Executive Committee meeting. The party reached the resolution at the meeting held in Abuja on Sunday. The meeting, at its attendance, the PDP acting national chairman, Umar Damagun, and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, Governor Demola Adeleke of Osun State, Caleb Mufwang of Plateau State, Amadu Fintiri of Adamawa, Sheyi Makinde of Oyo State, and Peter Mba of Enugu, and former governors, among others. The Bauchi governor told journalists the meeting was convened ahead of the party's scheduled NEC slated for end of May. According to him, the invitation of the former governors was done to tap from their experiences to resolve some of the internal challenges and prepare the ground for a rancor-free NEC meeting and the national convention later in the year. The Dangote Petrochemical Refinery has reduced the price of its premium motor spirit, also known as petrol, from 825 naira per litre to 825 naira per litre. The refinery reduced its price for its customers through a rebate of 10 naira after successful loading of the product. In light of this, marketers still paying 835 naira per litre have received a 10 naira refund after loading and evacuation. The price adjustment has allowed its customers and marketers to sell the product at retail price of 830 naira to 825 naira, outpricing importing marketers and private depot of owners. This followed the restart and full implementation of the Naira for Crude agreement with local refiners after an earlier suspension. Heavy overnight floods have washed away several villages in the Democratic Republic of Congo, killing more than 100 people in the nation suffering war and mass displacement. The floods were triggered by torrential rains and surged through the Kasaba village in South Kivu province. South Kivu's provincial health minister, Theophile Wolilika Muzaliwa, told local reporters that rescue operations were hampered by a lack of service and a shutdown of telephone lines due to the flooding. At least 130 civilians belonging to the Fulani ethnic group were killed by Burkina Faso's army and allied militias near the western town of Solenzo in March this year. In a report on Monday by the Human Rights Watch, the killings took place amid a major week-long military campaign by special forces that resulted in widespread civilian deaths and massive displacement of the Fulani pastoralist community in the region. It added that Al-Qaeda-affiliated group called the Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam wal al-Muslimin then carried out a series of retaliatory attacks hitting villages that the armed group perceived as having assisted the military. Children are desperately hanging on to the dwindling humanitarian supplies along the White Nile River in South Sudan. More than 60,000 malnourished children in Upper Nile states now risk plunging into deeper malnutrition, according to the United Nations World Food Programme. The White Nile River is the main humanitarian supply corridor into Upper Nile, but intensified fighting means no food aid has reached the area in almost a month. The United Nations World Food Programme is expected to exhaust their nutrition supplies by the end of May. Without urgent action, the crisis may worsen. This is Vicinity 95.3 FM, KG Leijisha. Global News will continue shortly. For news updates and live streaming, visit our website at vicinity953fm.com.ng. Send us an email to vicinitynewsroom@gmail.com or call 0814-365-8302 for breaking news. You can also follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Vicinity 95.3 FM. Now the rest of the news. In Gaza's Shati refugee camp, residents are facing an acute weather shortage as a 2-day gap in water deliveries worsen an already dire situation. due to the ongoing Israeli blockade, which has lasted over 2 months. Critical supplies like water and fuel have been blocked, leaving the area's water wells and desalination plants inoperable. Health officials have warned that the consumption of salt water is putting vulnerable population, children and the elderly at high risk, with power outages and a lack of clean water. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza continues to deteriorate, and aid agencies are calling for immediate international intervention to restore vital supplies. Without swift action, the situation threatens to spiral into a full-blown public health disaster. India and Pakistan are set to hold high-level military talks to solidify a U.S.-brokered ceasefire ending 4 days of intense cross-border conflict. The truce announced by President Donald Trump follows deadly hostilities sparked by a militant attack in Indian-administered Kashmir that killed 26 people. Both sides responded with air and artillery strikes, claiming military victories and inflicting significant damage. With tension easing and airport reopening, the ceasefire presents a fragile opportunity for de-escalation in the long-standing Kashmir conflict. The Kurdistan Workers' Party PKK has announced its decision to disband and end its decades-long armed struggle against the Turkish state. The move, declared after the Group 12 Congress in northern Iraq and reported by the pro-PKK Pirate, follows a February appeal by jailed leader Abdullah Öcalan call for peace. Describing the decision as historic, the PKK stated it has completed its mission and formally dissolved its organizational structure, marking a significant shift in a conflict that has claimed tens of thousands of lives since the 1980s. Turkish officials acknowledge the potential for a turning point if the decision is fully implemented. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan coalition partner Devlet Bahçeli proposed a possible release of the PKK leader Öcalan on parole if violence ceased. And a bit of sports, Barcelona staged a thrilling comeback to defeat Real Madrid 4-3 in El Clasico on Sunday, overcoming an early 2-goal deficit and a Kylian Mbappe hat-trick. Rafinha scored twice to lead Barca to their 4th straight win over their rivals this season, bringing them within one victory of clinching the La Liga title. Despite Mbappe's 3rd goal, Barca dominated possession and created more chances, with Courtois preventing a wider margin. A win against Espanyol and on Thursday could officially seal the title for the Catalans. To end global news, another look at the headlines. Ministry of Solid Minerals Development has set clear indication of economic development in the sector, as it's generated nearly 7 billion naira in mining license fees in the first quarter of the year. We told you that children are desperately hanging on to dwindling humanitarian supplies along the White Nile River in South Sudan. More than 60,000 malnourished children in Upper Nile State now risk plunging into deeper malnutrition, according to the United Nations World Food Programme. And lastly, you heard India and Pakistan are set to hold high-level military talks to solidify a U.S.-brokered ceasefire, ending 4 days of intense cross-border conflict. That was Global News. It was edited by Oluwafunke Israel. On behalf of the production crew, I am Paul Eteng. Thanks for listening. Please stay tuned for news nationwide at 6 o'clock. Good afternoon.
We lead while others follow. We lead while others follow. Vicinity Vicinity FM 95.3. We need wilders follow. Àwa làgbà wọn. We need wilders follow. Aṣíwájú ni wá. Vicinity FM àwa ní bàbá. We lead wilders follow. We lead wilders follow. Vicinity FM ní kejìlẹ̀. We lead wilders.